Hello, in this video, I want to explain all about lease option contracts and lease option agreements. My name's Simon Zutshi. I'm the author of Property Magic, the #1 Amazon property bestseller. I'm the founder of the Property Investors Network, and I've been teaching people like you how to be successful investors for almost 2 decades now. And about 15 years ago, in 2006, I discovered a very powerful strategy or tool called a purchase lease option. Now, most people have not heard about purchase lease options, including estate agents, solicitors, and most investors. And I find most investors who have heard about them don't really understand them and how they can use them properly. So this video is to describe a little bit about how you actually use lease option contracts and lease option agreements. If you want to learn more about how you can use those to acquire property, to give you cash flow and equity growth, using none of your own money, well, click on the link below this video and come and join me for some online training where I'll go to a lot more detail about this. But for this video, let me tell you about lease option contracts. Now, I often see people online saying, oh, I've got a potential lease option. Has anyone got a contract I can use? My strong recommendation is you really do not want to use a copy and paste agreement you've got from someone else. It's really important for you to use solicitors who understand purchase options. As I said, most people don't because it's quite an unusual specialist topic that most solicitors are completely unaware of. So, what do you need to know about lease option contracts? Well, really, all you need to be able to do is come up with the deal with the owner, and you're going to agree things such as, how much you're buying the property for. We set a price today. Based on today's current value, it might be the current value, might be slightly more, might be slightly less than the current value. We agree how long we have this option for, the right to buy this property. It means that we've got the right to buy, but not the obligation to. So if we want to buy, we can. The seller cannot sell to anyone else. But if we don't want to buy, we can walk away from the deal. Now, from an ethical point of view, I believe if you go into a lease option agreement, you should intend to actually buy that property. But things change over time, and remember, you're not obligated to buy. At the end of the option period, you could buy yourself, you could assign on to someone else, you could maybe renegotiate the terms if you can't actually buy right now, or you could just walk away. And if you do walk away, I believe you should give the property back to the owner in better condition than when they gave it to you, which is only fair because obviously you've had use of the property and made cash flow from it over that time. So in your agreement, you're going to put, first of all, how much you've got the right to buy for, how long you've got that right to buy. There's going to be an upfront option fee. Normally it's £1, but it might be several £1,000s. There might be some other things you're going to pay as part of that option fee. Also, are you going to be paying a monthly option fee to the owner? If so, how much is that? And then also, are there any other special conditions? Do you want to do something? Do you want to turn it from a normal house into an HMO, which means you've got to put fire doors in and a smoke alarm? Do you want to change the kitchen? Anything you want to do, I'd get agreement from the owner up front that that's what you want to do. So we put this document together, which is called a heads of terms. And at the top, it's got your company name and your company address, because putting it into a company is probably the best way of doing it. You can put it on your own name also. And then also the seller's name and address, and then the address of the actual property. Then the other things I've already mentioned, the purchase price, the length of the option, the monthly option fee, the upfront option fee, and any special conditions. So who's looking after the property? Now, generally, one of the benefits for an owner is you take on the responsibility of the property and you look after it. You take care of all the maintenance. You take care of the insurance. I recommend you get the owner to actually insure the property to make sure it's insured correctly, but you might offer to pay for that. Now, why would you do that? Why would you cover all these costs, maybe pay their mortgage for them? Well, you can rent the property out and hopefully charge more rent to your tenants than you're paying the owner. And by the time you take off all the costs, you can make profit every single month on a property that you don't actually own. And if you've got a nice long option period, you might agree to buy it for $200,000. The value might go down a bit, it might come up again, doesn't really matter. But in 5 years' time, the value is probably going to be worth more than the price you've agreed today. So you've agreed a £200,000 price today. It might be worth, I don't know, let's say 280 in 5 years' time. It might be less, might be more, but let's say it's 280. That's profit that you can gain. Now, either you buy that property, and there are ways of doing it no money down if you've had enough growth from the property, or you buy it at the original price, put a deposit in, and then 6 months later you refinance it based on the higher value. So either you can buy no money down if there's been enough growth, or you can refinance and take your money out after 6 months and go and buy another property. Either way, buying at full price today might actually be a discounted price in the future. So all of these details you put down into what's called the heads of terms. Now, if you pay the owner a £1 option fee and they sign that, technically that is a legally binding agreement. However, it's maybe not enforceable. What I mean is, if you went to a court and the owner said, yes, but this investor, they promised me this, they promised me that, a judge, in his infinite wisdom, might decide to turn over that agreement and rip it up. However, what you should do, and this is a mistake I see people making because often investors are a bit tight, they don't like spending money, instead of getting a solicitor to draw it up, they just do it on a kitchen table and think they're sorted. Well, it is a legally binding agreement, but it could be contested. What you should do is make sure that you and the seller both have independent legal advice. Solicitors who understand what's involved in a purchase option, and that a solicitor advising the seller will make sure they're really clear that they're entering into this agreement, that they're agreeing a price today. Their property might be worth significantly more in the future, but they're only going to get the price that's agreed today. And it's really important they have that advice, because they're going to sign a piece of paper and say, yes, I understand, I'm really happy with this deal. And look, if we found someone who is motivated and an option is a great solution for them, they should be really happy to do the deal. So they want to make sure they know exactly what's going on. We have independent advice. And if the owner decides not to sell to, they don't want to sell, and it goes to court, the fact that they've had independent advice and you've had independent advice, it's going to be much harder for them to say, oh, I didn't know what I was doing, the investor told me this and that. Well, it's all there in writing and it was agreed to solicitors. So please, please protect yourself. Make sure that you understand how to do purchase options, get some training, get some knowledge about it. They don't work in all circumstances. They work particularly well when the seller wants to get rid of a property and the hassle, but they don't need the money now, because they're not going to get the money now. They're going to get it sometime in the future. So in certain circumstances, an option can work really, really well. If it does, we agree the heads of terms, which is a very simple document. You send the heads of terms to the solicitor and they will put the proper paperwork together for you. Now, there are actually 3 bits of documentation your solicitor will put together. The first one is the actual purchase option, the lease option contract. They'll also put together a management agreement. If you're renting the property out, you want to be able to sign up tenancies on behalf of the landlords. If you are moving into the property yourself as a tenant buyer, then you would have an AST rental agreement with them. But if you're the one managing the property, it would be a management agreement. And then the final piece of paperwork you need, which again your solicitor will do for you, is what's called a power of attorney. Now, the power of attorney means that you have the ability over this particular property, this asset, to sign on behalf of the owner. That's important. In 5 years' time, they might have disappeared to, I don't know, Vietnam or somewhere, or Thailand. You can't track them down. You want to make sure that if you want to exercise the option and buy the property, you have the ability to sign the contract and get that deal done. So there's the lease option agreement, there's a management agreement, and also a power of attorney. That's what solicitors will do. Now, depending on who you use, it might be as low as about £1,000 for your legal costs, up to maybe £1,500. It shouldn't be much more than that. If you go to a solicitor who doesn't really know what options are, either they'll try and talk you out of it because they've never heard of it, they think it sounds like a con, or they might say, yeah, okay, I'll find out, I'll do some research, I'm sure I can do it for you. In our training, we recommend solicitors that are doing options day in, day out, which means they not only know how to do it, but also it'll be done cost effectively. It's good to have a panel of solicitors because there's a solicitor for you and then also a solicitor for the other side as well. Now, I did an option, or was trying to do an option on a property in London. The owner was really happy to do it. And he said to me, I want to use my family solicitor. She's just set up on her own and I want to support her. And I said to him, does she really understand how to do this? This is not a standard transaction. You need a specialist solicitor. And he spoke to her and he said, oh yeah, she can do it. No problem at all. 6 months later, and we still didn't have a deal signed. And to be honest, I kind of lost a bit of enthusiasm and interest. I kind of said, look, you know what? Maybe I can't help you. Now, I should have persevered probably because it was a great deal. I should have taken on the option on this London property. But he said to me, he said, you know what, you were right. I'm sorry, I wanted to get the deal and I should have used a solicitor who know what they were doing. So you've got to use solicitors who really understand what they're doing properly. So I hope that helps understand a little bit about lease option contracts and lease option agreements. Please do not use copy and paste agreements you've got off some social media. It's not going to be fit for purpose, because when a solicitor does it for you, guess what? You're not just paying for their time, you're also paying for their professional indemnity insurance. If they make a mistake, you can sue them and potentially get damages. If you've just tried to save some money, get a copy and paste agreement off the internet, you're the only one you can blame if it goes wrong. So please, please, like you invest in yourself, make sure you invest in your business and spend money where you need to protect yourself and also to protect the seller and everyone involved in your transactions. I do hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel so you get all these videos coming through to you, and hit the bell icon to make sure you get notified whenever we release a new video. I typically do a couple of videos a week. It's usually up-to-date, topical, so you really kind of want to watch them when they first come out, as opposed to seeing them months and months later when maybe the market's changed a little bit. I believe that 2023, for the next year or two, is going to be an incredible time to do strategies such as purchase lease options, because there are more and more sellers who need solutions, and in certain circumstances, a purchase option can be a perfect solution for them. So I do encourage you to click on the link below this video to come and join me for some more detailed training about how you can actually use lease options agreement to acquire property very quickly to give you cash flow and extra growth on property without a deposit and without a mortgage. If I lost everything and had to start again, this is exactly what I would be doing if I was new to property. But I can tell you, as an experienced investor, having been doing this 28 years, I still use options now, especially on more advanced strategies such as commercial to residential conversion, title splitting, those kind of things. So whether you're new or beginner, done in the correct way, lease options in the right circumstances can be incredibly powerful tools. So I do hope you liked the video. Click on the link below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Invest with knowledge, invest with skill. I do hope you got massive value from watching this YouTube video. I'd encourage you to click on the link below to come and do the online training with me. And I've got another video lined up for you, which I think is also going to be really useful, that you should watch once you've registered for the online training with me. So invest with knowledge, invest with skill. I'll see you very soon.